can get started.
Yeah, looks like we're almost at the top of the hour. So, yeah, let's get going. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, and welcome to our webinar on migrating traditional data warehouses to Microsoft Fabric and Fabric Copilot. My name is Nick Seamus, and I'm a Customer Success Director here with NetWoven. Next slide, please. Just a bit of background for those who aren't familiar with NetWoven. We're a preferred Microsoft Solutions partner. We've been doing this for over 20 years now, and we have an international team that's been helping organizations across the globe achieve optimal value from their Microsoft software portfolio for the past 2 decades. Just a quick view of the sort of work that we do. We're excited to be part of a small group of Microsoft partners worldwide that is certified in all 6 solution areas, which roughly correspond to what you see here. So while we'll be hearing from our data analytics team today, many of our customers have shared that our broad experience across the various Microsoft clouds has been critical to their digital transformation journey, with the cloud interconnects being so critical today. So thanks again for joining us. We're hoping to make this an interactive experience. And with this, let me turn it over to our data analytics team and our host today, Raj Manchanda.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Hello, all. I'll be your MC today. My name is Raj Manchanda, and I have also 2 decades plus experience in data architecture, data warehousing in traditional and modern technologies. So first of all, thank you for joining us. This is very exciting opportunity to learn about what's coming down the pike. And today we'll be covering migration of traditional data warehouses to Microsoft Fabric, Lakehouse, and Fabric Warehouse. We'll also be covering, as Nick mentioned, Fabric Copilot. So we are very fortunate to have a great mix of subject matter experts as presenters and part of our expert panel. All of these presenters, first of all, we thank them for making time to do the presentation, and they have great depth and breadth in legacy and modern data warehouse technologies. First of all, Nana Duri, he has about 24 plus years of data architecture and cloud data architect experience, and he has led several transformation initiatives at large clients like Microsoft, Union Bank, Delta. And secondly, we welcome Pankaj Bose. Pankaj Bose is our VP of Engineering. He has been with NetWoven for 20 plus years. Pankaj is very passionate about extracting insights from all type of data, whether it's structured or unstructured data. So we are also very with the warm welcome. We join when I say all of us Microsoft team. We want to welcome Divya Padwali, Ramesh Kalava, and Chris Chambers, who are our guest speakers. A word about Divya: she has been a senior data architect and AI cloud architect for several years, and most recently she has been handling retail accounts, and she has spearheaded several migration and modernization initiatives. Ramesh has been with Microsoft. He is a winner of Microsoft Diamond Award. He's a well regarded thought leader for in data analytics with 18 plus years of experience, and he has implemented large scale enterprise data initiatives. Chris Chalmers, he's a Microsoft veteran with 2 plus decades of experience in helping customers succeed on cloud journey. And when he's not I guess when he's not doing hands-on work, he's very passionate about being a guest lecturer on BI and AI at Boston University and University of New Hampshire. So he's pretty much working and thinking AI all the time. So okay, let's see why what's happening in our in our data space. So right now, as you can see, our data sources are growing like basically ever growing. The volume is growing. We're getting data from traditional sources. We're getting data from social media. from IoT, and more importantly, more recently, we need to enable generative AI journey with our foundation data. So all these things are really pose different challenges from migration and integration perspective, right? So everybody would like to have data in secure and accessible manner for reporting and analytics, right? So that at end of the day, we want to enable business users to have that on fingertips, right? So in order to solve this, Microsoft Fabric presents an integrated platform. It's a unified solution which can help to address all these challenges. Plus, with Purview and with the Power BI and Azure Synapse platform, which can cater to ETL, ELT, and reporting and analytics requirements. And it can also help to present or process large data volumes and in real time, right? Because right now a lot of organizations are looking for data in real time basis. So we'll be covering co-pilots. Microsoft platform has these co-pilots, and we will be covering all these things in more depth. Let me just quickly go through the agenda. So as part of the agenda, we'll be obviously addressing the traditional data warehouse journey. What are the challenges? We'll be also having a demo to in order to showcase how Microsoft Fabric can help to resolve this. And then our guest speakers will cover some of the progression of these challenges, how to resolve these challenges, right? And then we'll discuss some of the approaches which can help to remove some of the or address some of the headaches which we anticipate in the journey. Then how Fabric Copilots can help to make speedy journey for this, and how custom copilots can also help to address these challenges. So at end of our presentation and demo, we will leave about 10 plus minutes for our expert panel to answer any questions. So this is kind of like a high level agenda. With this, we'll have a deep dive. Nyana, back to you, please. Let's welcome
Thanks.
Nyana to, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Raj. This is Jnana Duburi from Atlanta, USA. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, some of the people outside of this country. Okay. Today, next, put the slide, Raj.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. I want to set the context first of all, before talking to our product, data warehousing, migrations, everything. And let's look into some of the problems, a traditional data warehouses, we look into that. Usually the four difficulties: cost. Cost is upfront cost is humongous. Scalability is a very big problem, very difficult to scale, as per the business requirement. And architecture is, ETL process requires, and planning not flexible, changing needs and goals, especially in a digital area, is very difficult. And data variety and velocity is also very difficult. Is a semi-structured or structured, or can be used for ML and AI. And most of the data scientists, they don't like transform data. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Once we discuss, the problems, let's look into that. When we have problems, industry response, IT industry response. So when we look into this in evaluation of modern data warehouses, in 1980s, we have, the traditional data warehouses where we have data marts, then we go to, from the data marts, we run reports, or we go to enterprise data warehouses, there. But in 2011, it changed into, a data lake. What people thought, they can look into that, everything they can do, but it does not work out. Consolidating is done, but slowness, and business cannot, ad hoc queries and all very slow, and visualizations are slow, so that people are looking into something else. Then 2020, there is a product called Delta Lake, above the lake house, about the Delta Lake came a logically, absolutely, fast architecture, a layer, so that it took care of a lot of things, but still a lot of products are not integrated. Then a lot of different tools, and still the problem persisted, what industry wants in the digitalization. Then 2023 May, Microsoft launched a product called Microsoft Fabric, which is an end-to-end analytical platform. Product product as a service is in a domain-driven, lake-centric, and open architecture, and it empowers every business user. Then when we talk about this, let's look into that. When I talk, we are going to talk about Fabric now, but at the same time, what exactly wants industry wants. We have developed 5 drivers which industry wants. One is the data acquisition. A lot of data is coming, so much is doing it, so that getting a quality data, data as a service, streaming as a service, then metadata framework we want it. So it's a must data acquisition, flexible and intelligent in data engineering, not to write code again and again, spend time, reuse the code, and make it CI/CD pipeline workflows, so that it's time to value. Data management security architecture with compliance is a must, so that we need to protect all the data at one place, which is very, very important. And BI operation and data science in one place. We cannot have in different places copy the data and go into different silos, and there is no uniformity of the data. Every data set gives a different results. That doesn't work. Then time to market. Data observability is needed for this data downtime nowadays, because 35% it causes data downtimes in the industry. It causes a lot of revenue losses. So that with data, AI and ML proactivity, time to market is very important. Okay, looking into this 5 drivers. Next slide. Looking into this total, the five drivers, how do I fit into Microsoft Fabric in enterprise digitalization and modern advanced analytics? We have to look into that. We divide it into about 5 layers. Above that, we put the products, easy to understand. The number 1 is data sources. Number 2, ingestions, transformations, store, serverless compute, on the products, my integrated products in Fabric. So if you look into that, any data sources, whether it's Oracle ERP, SAP, CRM, or Microsoft, Dataverse, or marketing data from something else, and any cloud data from other clouds. Otherwise, Databricks or Snowflake works very well with Fabric, Lake, so that we can ingest. The ingesting tools are Pipeline, Dataflow Gen 2, Notebook, and shortcuts we use. At the same, after ingestion, we have a layer, store layer, that called one lake. One lake is the main storage for lakehouse, warehouse, dataset, and CustoDB. We'll discuss what exactly it means to us. One lake can have any number of lake houses. One lake can have any number of warehouses. One lake can have any number of published data sets. And one lake can have real-time CustoDB, data coming to from Twitter and IoT data sensors here in real time. We can take it. And basing on that, we have products. Data engineering works with Spark and data pipelines. I can load the data with the data pipelines in ADF, and data warehouse. I can use MySQL. I can use my PySpark, and both things I can use it. SQL endpoints versus Spark. Then data science, I can use my Spark. Then real-time analytics, KSQL is a CustoSQL is a very powerful explorative tool for the business to look into the data, ad hoc data, and it works with real-time analytics. We can get it from there. Then we have analytics services. Power BI is derived from direct lake. We can contact, like we can load the data, but with Power BI, with Fabric, direct lake is the most favored way, so that loading to Power BI, that pain will be gone. It's a near real-time analytics we can give it, and Power BI reports. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, we talk about architecture of the fabrics. Look into that Microsoft Fabric, internals, little bit deep touch. Microsoft Fabric is a SaaS product. It's not a PaaS product. And a Delta optimized VOrder is the compression mechanism, and you have a bin compaction, optimize and vacuum. Most of the times we used to do all this manual. Everything is automated. We get it in about 50% extra performance. We have seen that about 55 to 60%, much better than other products available. And Fabric warehouse is persisted in a Delta Lake format. So the Delta Lakes got a versioning so that we need not worry, what happened, in previous. Still I have that data so that there need not be, we need not worry about that, Fabric Warehouse is powered by the Polaris engine. This is the center of, Fabric for the scalability and concurrent, performance. Separation state and compute so that, in-flight transactions we don't lose, and flexible abstraction of data sets as cells. It's another wonderful for mechanism to again perform in Excel and accelerate the queries. Task inputs are defined in terms of cells, and everything plan queries is getting into a DAC. Fine grid architecture of tasks using state machines, will accelerate the queries, and complex queries. Polaris is a cloud native with now supports with big data and relation warehouses, which is a very good with a stateless architecture, provides flexible and scalability. And data observability inbuilt. We talked a lot about data observability in previous webinars, so that people who want to look into that in more depth for data observability in Fabrics, we can look into our previous webinars. And data activator model, which is a new in Fabric, is designed for real-time data detection and monitoring, and it's an applied data observability, which is inbuilt in Fabrics. And then if you want deep dive into our Polaris engine, we have a web already in a blog is published in our website. People go, we have a very extensive information on the blog. Next slide, please. Okay. We discussed about structure. We discussed about what all the internals a little bit, and we want to talk. People ask. We already have other Synapse product analytical products we have, and whereas Fabrics is there. How these products differs with each of them, or is there any way? What is that mechanism? Why what we want to do when we have other Synapse analytics here? What is the future? Number one point, Synapse Analytics will be there another 4 or 5 years. People need not worry about who are using Synapse Analytics. But one advantage with Fabric is, any future development will be only on the Fabric. Number one, that is the one people customers has to look into that. It is a SaaS product. Also in Fabric, all services integrated one tenant license, unified lake with Delta format V code compression, smoothing. This is the wonderful thing, Fabrics gives to the customers. If your data is increasing, your query size increasing 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, it automatically scales it. If you have, license for only about 64 CUs, but you are crossing 64 CUs, it expands automatically. It will not fail your query, but at least it warns you, guys. You are going ahead. Then you can scale it up so that there is no need for us, look into that. Compared to our old data warehousing, how much capacity I need it. I start with basics. I can go ahead. In the base, and its data is a product in the domain. There are two concepts in the market. One is a data mesh, otherwise a data fabric. Both can be adopted in Fabrics, as a data as a product in a domain. So a domain can have subdomains. Okay, the basic architecture from data lake Gen 2. If you look into that, my right side, unified one lake and a Delta format Delta lake is powered by Polaris and analytical engine, and it contains Spark, SQL endpoint, SQL serverless, and warehouse. That is our, we compare to dedicated warehouse in the other Synapse Analytics. If you look into the products, data factory and data engineering is there. And the new generation of, data flow Gen 2 is a data flow queries, we can write functions, we can, aggregate things, we can copy the data, very powerful. One notebook, I can use the one notebook for data pipelines as well as, data science. And in the real-time analytics is there in inbuilt, and the data activator, as I said, it gives you all alerts, what exactly happening to your data from ingestion to end. Then data science has a business flow incorporated, with, latest, AI and ML. But whereas this is all most of all them integrated. Whereas if you look into the down data pipelines, mapping data flows, absolutely there. It's not supported, in Fabric. Data flow Gen 1, yeah, but whereas in a data flow Gen 1 is not. If you want to use data flow Gen 2, you should have a Fabric license. Notebooks are two here. Notebook for data pipelines and notebook for your other machine learning is a different aspect, and data explorer is another different aspect. Data activator is not there here. So that what happens here, a lot of, though we have a good product, other Synapse Analytics, and you need to have a lot of, integration process, and you have to put a lot of effort. Next slide, please. When you talk to the performance evaluation of Polaris engine, we have taken, around about, petabyte scale, 3024, 5K concurrent queries we took it, this is the evaluation done by 15 scientists supported by Microsoft. The paper we also publishing the paper with our blog. The paper name also we have given there, so you can have this information there. We did tested with concurrency and concurrency and resource utilization. Talks executed. If you look into that, brown, it is in a talks are executing, and the line increasing is an execution path, so that the striking is very good. Whereas concurrency, if you look into the memory versus CPU is striking extremely well, healthy, and memory is not increasing, means this is scaling very well. Next slide, please. If you look into that, 22 TPCH queries, on a petabyte scale, look into that. These queries, a single query with everything is different, type of queries. And if you look into our, Q6, Q12, Q15, Q16 queries, absolutely they are, highly joined without partitions. They're extremely performing very well. But whereas if you look into the Q9 and Q21, they are the results for 5K concurrent queries. That is 1 petabyte 99 into 99.5. Absolutely, they are doing extremely well. So this shows extremely well. But with this comparison, we also have one benchmark in NetWeb, an internal benchmark loading data fabrics. We have a Slack migration to Teams, and we have a 2 million JSON files, and it contains 30 million rows. We're imported to SQL using ADF with IR size 16 plus 16 cores. Time taken was in about 40 minutes. But whereas we tried with Fabrics, same files imported to Fabric Lakehouse using copy data in 9 minutes. This was with our trial SKU and Fabric F64 CUs. Next slide, please. Yeah, as now data is a product in domain, data mesh, then it goes to data fabric and there's data hub. So any people are using data mesh and data fabric, they need not worry. Fabric will take care of automatically within domains and subdomains. Next slide, please. So this is the depiction we are giving, how fabric, domains, exist in Fabric. We have 3 domains and workplaces, data pipelines, data flows, and SQL endpoints, discovery and security. Notebook and lineage will take it with the Lakeshore schema. Next, click on it. So these are the unique points we give it, which we discussed elaborately in our previous discussions, which we are not discussing here. So that next slide, please. Yeah, then the question comes, Microsoft, Fabric licensing, no cost during 60-day trial availability, now GA, right? It's GA now. You look into the 3 parts. One is an infrastructure and individual licenses. Processing capacity, it is a CU from 2 to 2048, 0.18 CU per hour. Minimum is 2 CUs, only $9 per day. Additional storage, you may pay for storage. You consume, price varies from region to region. 2.023 for gigabyte, and network, whether your charges in ingress charges or for a multi-cloud shortcuts, it may charge separately. If you look into that, Power BI, it comes, if you take it 64, it comes free. But whereas, if you don't have a Power BI, you can use a pro license for $10 or a premium license for $20 with, this one. And here, the right side we have given, basing on, SKU, what is the per month cost, it comes to $262 to $134. And we personally prefer, actually, most of the people, will go to F64 to F256. They will be in the range, but in any extreme big customers, they can go up to the other places. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the key points we want to talk before going to the demo. Delta Lake warehouse. There are 3 aspects in this slide. One, we want to discuss, Parquet file systems unpartitioned. Then we go to transform Lakehouse, files Parquet partitioned. Then we use our notebooks or a data flows and Spark. Then we will go to data lake partition tables. Then I can go to directly, direct click to Power BI. I can run my reports. There is no need to, load data. But whereas, here, the virtual warehouses, where I create my dimensions in a facts, can take it in a TDS endpoint, tabular, data, standpoint streams point, we can take it, and, it will go to our data warehouse here. And where we also shown in the previous, very clear, demos we have given how that's in a bronze, silver, and gold will go, how it streamlines, how it goes to AI reporting, how it goes to, published APIs can go, or, microservices can work on, fabrics and at the same time. But when you look into that lakehouse in a loading, we have an incremental loading and initial data ingestions, so that I can go real time, I can load. So the important point we want to bring it, the ingestion supports real time as well, batch with, delta architecture, slowly changing dimensions with the delta tables, versioning, and you can change in slowly changing dimensions, absolutely no problem. Next slide, please. With this background, I want to discuss my Fabric warehouse demo scenario. Network and consulting in-house, we have a product called utilization dashboards. Consulting needs to meet a certain utilization technical resource, project managers and engagement to leads to maintain, healthy business trends. They want to look into that. We have series of tools to help track project assignments for our delivery, but unfortunately, we have a technical problems, stating several complex joins and case statements in views that cannot be updated. Several reference tables are maintained by loading Excel manually. IT teams need to patch and maintain the database servers. So goal is, to bring this, to our fabric of our lakehouse and the Delta Lake, reduce all the manual and data transformations, create a lakehouse and warehouse with star schema with the domains, minimal redesign for utilization reports for tracking. The disclaimer only we tell, we protected our in-house customer and employee data we protected. So report on the reports, percentage accuracy is not for a discussion at this time. So that, okay. With this, I will introduce my Fabric, my other, data center team. There are 6 people absolutely dedicated for, Fabric developments, in our data center in Calcutta. Right now, 3 people are involved with the demo. Srinivas will lay foundation in a lakehouse and Delta Lake he discussed. Chiranjeev will discuss about warehouse, how we develop, and Karthik will tell about Power BI utilization reports will show. Hey, Srini, welcome. Take over.
Yeah, and just want to have a quick time check. Just we're running a little bit behind, but guys, take your time. Yeah, thank you. Jana.
Thank you, Nana. So yeah, as Nana mentioned, let's see how we can move the data from SQL to Fabric in terms which can be used in Power BI to showcase the reports, utilization reports. Okay, firstly, let's go to the Fabric and create workspace. The workspace is the one which contains the lake house, data warehouse, data flows, data factory, pipelines, notebooks, and the reports. So we can click, once we click on this new workspace, so we can enter the name of the workspace we need and the description, which will create a workspace. Then we'll create a lakehouse. The Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse is a data architecture platform for storing, managing, and analyzing structured and unstructured data in single location. And the data in Lakehouse will be stored in the format of Parquet files. Okay, once we go here and new and then click on Lakehouse, we can give the name of the lakehouse like the util lakehouse, and the lakehouse gets created without tables and files. Now we can move the data from SQL to Lakehouse. There are different ways we can move the data from SQL to Lakehouse, like the upload files. We can upload a local file, CSV file into the Lakehouse, or we can create a data pipeline and a copy activity to move from the source and target the SQL to Lakehouse, or the shortcut, the event stream, or the notebook. So in our case, we'll be using this new data flow Gen 2, which comes with various advantages over the Gen 1, like scalability, autosave, background publishing, improved monitoring, usage of Power Queries. Okay, so let's click on new data flow gen 2, and we can we can set up the source. In our case, it is the SQL Server. Once we click on import from SQL Server, we can give the connection string of the SQL Server, where we can once we give the connection string, and once we click on next, it displays all the tables and views in that table, where we can select. Once we select different tables we need and click on apply, then these tables will be loaded into the data flow gen 2. Okay, like if you can see, the source here is the SQL Server, and we can set a destination to our lakehouse which we created, which is the util lakehouse. So once we click on publish, we can publish immediately, or we can also schedule it when we want, and we can also be a recurring job where once we publish, like it moves all the tables into the destination, which is the util lakehouse. As you can see, like this is the lakehouse where it has moved all the 17 tables from SQL Server to lakehouse. And this triangle here shows like it is a delta table, and this delta table will come with like versioning as discussed in our previous webinars. Okay, thank you. With this foundation, I'll hand over to Chiranjeev to talk on transforming the data into facts and dimensions. Thank you. Chiranjeev, over to you.
Chiranjeev, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry, I was in mute. So, yeah, thank you, Srinivas. So Microsoft Fabric provide that customer with the ability to stand up the virtual warehouses containing the data from virtually any sources. It means warehouse does not store any data as such. Let's go to the warehouse here. Once you click on this warehouse, you can go there and you can see there is the dimension and that fact table available here. We saw already 17 transactional tables in Lakehouse, but in Warehouse, we have removed that complex case statement and reduced the number of tables, creating dimension and the fact tables in Warehouse. There is three sections: model, query, and data. Let's talk about model here. So we created that star schema based on our requirement. However, you can create other model like Snowflake, Galaxy, depending upon your requirement. Let's talk about data here. So in this data section, you can view the individual table data. Let's talk about query section here. So in that query section, you can do your own T-SQL query. You can write your complex query also depending upon your requirement. So now how we are processing the data from lakehouse to data warehouse. There is two options to populate the data from source to warehouse. If you go to this get data, you can see that new data flow gen 2 and new data pipeline. Let's talk about new data flow gen 2. So in this new data flow gen 2, you can add the required table and do various join based upon your requirement. So here we do a merge and left out a joint here, okay, based on our requirement here. Now go back to that data pipeline here. So this is that another way you can populate your data from various sources to warehouse. So let's talk about how you can do this. If you search here, you can see that lakehouse is already available. Once you click on that, you can select that lakehouse. If you go next, you can select your transactional table from here, and you can go select that data warehouse here also. Depending upon your requirement, you can remove that required columns from this section, from here, this section. Now, once you save and run this, it will automatically populate your data from sources to your warehouse. Also, you can create the visual and do analyze your data from Power BI report available within that same workspace. So Karthik will show you some complex report. Karthik, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chiranjeev. Okay, Chiranjeev already explained about all data warehouse dimension and facts. Using this dimension and facts, we have created the Power BI reports on top of the utility workspace. These are all internal data. We have modified all modified personal details. We have created the report for different level utilization like resource, practice, and location level. Resource utilization, resource planning metrics that measures the utilization rate of resource over the period of time, which allows the project manager to identify under or overloaded project resources. This include any reassignment and changes to the team's workload as need arise. Increase the profitability by focusing on billable tasks. Allocate the resources strategically so you can complete the task faster and increase the production output. Okay, let's go to the dashboard. You can see that a lot of filters in this dashboard. Okay, this filters available in each and every report. A report's data directly load from the data warehouse. Let's go for any of the practice. These are all directly coming from the data warehouse. The reports are landed very fast. Most of the report, we can see the billable as well as the target. And billable versus target values are used to check whether the target values has been met or not. If it is not met the target, we need to know where is the resource are billing that non-billable part. If it is in training, then go to the training detail, that another report and deep dive where it is actually billing, that non-billing part. Same like that, if it is in PTO, go to the PTO report. We can see that the downside, even each and every project level, as well as the weekly hours, we can determine where it is billing, because billing in the actual billable or otherwise the non-billable part. And as well as let's see that summary detail by practice. Here we are using the three practices. CAS is cloud and infrastructure. CNC is content and collaboration. This is MA's modern apps. And we can validate the billable versus target between three practices. And the same like we are doing for location wise. It is in GDC, nothing but offshore. USA onshore. We are comparing that plan versus actual, whether we are met or not. Same like that, this is the detailed report. If you want to this detailed report for each and every nooks and corners for that non-billable, billable part and competency development, you can get it from here. Suppose if the resource billing in the training part, where is actually billing, we can easily track here. If it is in billing for the certification, the preparation, it's billing for the any other particular content, we can easily track. And PTO. The PTO details actually, however, whenever the resource that management get a bit more complicated as the number of available days need to get that adjusted whenever employee is absent because of public holidays, sickness, planned time off, or any other absence. This report used to track the resource PTO information very deeply. Weekly, monthly, yearly, and location and practice-wise filter we have given. However, we can see the comparison between offshore and onshore. Now I'm handing over to Jan for key summary update.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So key takeaways here, we are not loading to data to Power BI reports. It's coming from directly from the warehouse. The other one, we have reduced, all the 17 tables to, 5 tables with the dimensions and, facts. And this work is done, within about in 8 days time. And we never redeveloped, our Power BI reports, whichever prepared from other things, it's there so that, it's ease of use as well as, time to the market. And then I'm fortunate, management has given, to move to Fabrics, in our internal application. Charity begins from home. Thank you. Now I will hand over to Divya to go about a little bit, Microsoft, Fabrics, progression of challenges. Go.
Thank you, Gyana. Hey everyone, this is Divya here. I come from Microsoft. I currently work as a data and AI cloud solution architect. Uh, so one of the biggest advantages of using Fabric is you have all of these individual components that you were using before. Like for example, if you have to ingest data from different data sources, you were using ADF, for example, or another service. If you want to play with your data using notebooks or Jupyter notebooks or building machine learning models, you were using another service. So right from the data movement to massaging and playing with the data engineering, and also analyzing the data and storing the data and building reports, all of those different components are integrated in one platform, which is in Fabric, which is a SaaS platform. And I think Yana mentioned this before as well. You're not paying for these individual components anymore. You'll just be paying for Fabric capacity, and that's it. You are good to go, and you can use these components in the same platform. And the other biggest advantage is since the data is stored in one platform, you can also create workspaces to give security to your different teams. And this defines the data mesh architecture in your company so that whoever needs to access the data will have access to it. And it's all integrated in one place rather than being in silos. You can go to the next slide. The other biggest component within Fabric is Power BI is in the Fabric platform. And what I mean by that is if you have Power BI premium capacity, you're already using Fabric. You don't have to like separately purchase Microsoft Fabric for that. And if you upload your data in the Fabric platform, your performance of Power BI will definitely increase and it'll be more efficient as compared to having the data let's say in another platform. And the reason being, you're not, so first of all of these components is in one, is in the same place. That means there won't be a lag when Power BI has to read your data. And the semantic models will also be in the same place as well. And this is a very important thing to think about, especially if your organization is a heavy Power BI user. Moving some of that data to Fabric is our best recommendation. You can go to the next slide. And even as far as governance is concerned, right now Fabric is also getting integrated with Microsoft Purview, which was a separate product, but it's now part of Fabric. And what that means is you can have different levels of access and security, and you can review permissions. And the specific things that you can do with using Purview in Fabric is within Fabric, you can also use information protection, which allows you to discover, classify, and protect Fabric data using sensitivity labels using Purview. And you can also use data catalog, which automatically allows you to view metadata from Microsoft Fabric in Purview. And the other third component that Purview offers in Fabric is data loss prevention. And with data loss prevention policies, which you can write, you can actually write specific policies to detect sensitive data in your semantic models, which will automatically identify, sensitive data like credit card information, social security, and other sensitive information. And all of this is automatically done for you. And on top of it, you can also customize it. And there's also another feature called as audit, which allows you to audit user activities, like which user had logged in when, So you can also track individual user activities as well within your Fabric platform using Purview. You can go to the next slide. So as far as migration is concerned, and I know some of your customers might be using Synapse, which is our existing data warehouse platform. So if you're intending on moving data from other data sources, whether it's databases or data warehouse or Synapse to Fabric, always think of it from a step-by-step approach. Before you move the whole data to Fabric, try to build a pilot phase where you're maybe moving a test data to Fabric, and if that data is connected to Power BI, do some performance testing to see how Power BI performs when the data is moved to Fabric. And you can slowly move it in phase-by-phase approach. And this is what my customers have done, where they do a proof of concept with a partner like NetWoven, and then once the proof of concept is successful for their use case, then they move it using a phase-by-phase approach to Fabric platform. And the other fourth component, which is, I would say, the most important component, if your organization uses data science and machine learning a lot, you can do all of that in Fabric. So right now, within the Azure platform, we do have Azure Machine Learning Studio. We have machine learning in Synapse. In Fabric, you can do all that. You can have a Jupyter notebook in the form of Fabric notebooks to write your machine learning code. You can create MLOps pipeline. So you can do all of the machine learning workload within Fabric, connecting to different data sources. So this is also another thing to start thinking about if you want to optimize your costs of not having services in different with different service, and maybe bringing all of those services together in one unified platform, Fabric. Okay. I think I'm not able to see the screen, Yana. Can you all see the screen?
We can see the screen.
Yeah, we can see. I'm on slide 20. I don't know if you have the deck.
20. Okay.
It's why Microsoft Fabric. I'm on
Okay.
slide. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it now. So why Microsoft Fabric? It's a very good and an important question. And again, what the whole purpose of Microsoft Fabric is, it's a SaaS platform. It's not a platform as a service. So the biggest advantage is you can do, but like what I mentioned before, you can do a bunch of different tasks that you were doing in individual PaaS services in one platform, and it's user friendly. So anyone from a business user to even a technical person can use this platform. Individual license, and you don't have to worry about paying for individual services or paying individual licenses. So it really gets rid of a lot of headache when it comes to administration, as well as maintaining security and giving people access. And it also removes the headache of just getting started, because it's one thing to have data, but the biggest advantage of analyzing and capturing insights is doing something with the data immediately. That's what Microsoft Fabric allows you to do.
Yeah. Thank you, Divya. I think we can, if there anything else you want to cover, or we can pass to
You can.
Chris.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Chris, go
Thank
ahead,
you.
please.
Great. Thank you, and thank you for sharing these slides. Copilot for Microsoft Fabric includes not just Power BI. Copilot in Microsoft Fabric also supports data engineering and data science and data factory. So like a quick data factory example, suppose I have data with the with the heights of NetWoven employees. Suppose Yana is 6'3" tall, and I've got a column, and it's a text column with a 6 and an apostrophe and the 3 and the quotes. And what I really want is 72 inches is an integer, right? You can just hand that to Copilot for Data Factory in Microsoft Fabric, and it will do that transformation for you, right? Likewise, and we've got a couple slides and a demo to show you what these other copilots are capable of, even during the public preview. Now, this orange square in the upper right corner does call attention to the fact that Copilot in Microsoft Fabric is performance intensive. We require an F64 or a Power BI Premium P1 to sort of light up that capability. But let's get into the capability. Can I have the next slide, please? What we did with the data science workload is, again, make it easier to get started. Enable more people to use the capability, save time, save money. These copilots understand Python, they understand your data frame, and they're capable of doing some really interesting things. Next slide, please. And on this slide, you'll see it's super easy to get started. You basically hit the Copilot button, circled in red in the upper right corner. It inserts some libraries, they're Python libraries, whatever. I don't know Python, and that's okay. And it connects your data frame and your notebook to the Copilot. Next slide, please. And in this Copilot, it can help you out. You can literally see in the red box. I didn't write any code. It's like, can you help me out? Can you provide me with a logistic regression model for this data frame? And like, well, yes, you can see below. It did it right. It imported the libraries. It defined the feature in the target. It created the model. It created it separated your data into test and training, and it measured. It does all that, measuring the efficacy of the model compared to the test trainings. I didn't do anything. I mean, I just prompted it. It's literally miraculous. And I know I'm kind of hypey here, but I've never seen anything like this. Frankly, it's pretty astounding. Next slide, please. The other great thing is it can help you be more productive. It can help you learn. It can document your code. Not that any of us on the phone ever fail to document our code, but here, analyze this data frame. What's in here? What should I do? What would be a good approach? And it's got the entire power of the large language model behind it to explain all of this stuff to you, in addition to writing the code. It's just astounding. Next slide, please. So with Power BI, what we've done is we've increased the productivity of new users and lowered the barrier to entry, where you can literally start from a blank slate, a blank piece of paper, and get a well-designed presentation. And if I may, I'd like to share my desktop really quick, so we can take a look at that. I think we have time here, so please let me know if you can see my desktop. Okay, am I live here?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, this should work. If it doesn't, I've recorded a video that does it. Again, this is public preview, but I'm using something a little fresher. And what I'm going to do is I'm in Power BI, and I'm going to look at this data set here. And, I'm going to start from scratch. It's like, well, now what? Right? It's blank. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start the Copilot. And there is a disclaimer here. If you look at the data model in the upper right corner, right, this is a good data model, right? NetWoven did it right. It's a star schema, facts in the middle, dimensions, understandable names. And so what I'm going to do is hit the Copilot button, and it'll suggest some helpful prompts here. I mean, I could type a prompt in here. This is my prompt, whatever, but it's going to start by suggesting content for the report. So just as the Copilots for data science and data engineering looked at your data frame and told you what it thought, here, the large language model is going to look at this data model, and it's going to make some suggestions. It goes, hey, why not sales performance by category? Analyze how different product categories contribute to sales revenue and units sold over time. How does it know this? Well, it's in the data model. I've got the sales revenue and units sold right here. I've got time in a calendar table. I've got, a product hierarchy, so I'm just going to say, sounds good. This create button here speeds things up a little bit. It's going to generate this new page. And I do want to take a second and talk about Kartik's Power BI report because it's awesome. Obviously, Kartik's a pro, but I just want to call out some of the things that made this NetWoven Power BI report so awesome. Great use of white space, the filters across the top, the rule of thirds, where you've got the 1/3 on the left and the 2/3 on the right. That if you don't know Power BI, you might just think, oh, it looks good. But if you are familiar with visualization technology, you recognize that Kartik did it right. And the reason I wanted to show that is because the Power BI Copilot is implementing some of the best practices that Kartik used. So here, again, you're going to see the slicers across the top of the report. You're going to see the rule of thirds here, the good use of white space, the KPIs across the top. So it's a very good start. Now, I might still tweak some stuff here, right? So that's why we call it Copilot instead of autopilot. Like here, this parts to the whole visual, units sold by category. I might use a tree map here or something like that. So again, it's a great start, but you can still come in here and edit it. So the first way Copilot for Power BI and Microsoft Fabric saves time is with report creation. It can also help in the analysis, and here's how. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create some space by deleting these visuals, and I'm going to insert this smart narrative. And so
Chris,
just
we need to check the time, Chris.
okay. Does that mean stop?
No, not stop.
We can continue.
Okay,
Let's wrap. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so I'm summarizing the contents of this report, and it's got some suggested prompts like answer likely questions from leadership, or I could type, right? I could say use positive, upbeat language and emojis, right? Maybe that's how my company likes to communicate, and I can iterate over this a couple of times. But now what it's going to do is help me save time on the analysis of the report and the communication of the contents of the report to senior leadership and other stakeholders that maybe they're not going to open the report. They're going to say, chestnut it out. And so here, it's done a great job summarizing this. It's broken out, and I'll just zoom in here for the grand finale. Leadership is likely to ask a few questions based on this data, like what are the best-selling products? Are there any specific patterns? What needs fixing? What's low? And here it is, all in language with emojis. Maybe that last part's a little bit rich, but there it is. And I basically did nothing, couple of mouse clicks. So thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Go back to our slides. Yeah. So I think we covered this. Any word on this slide, Chris?
Next.
There you go.
Yeah, with this, we'll like to pass for custom copilots information to Pankaj. Pankaj, please take it away.
You are in mute, Pankaj.
Pankaj, are you there?
Pankaj, you are on mute. You are on mute, Pankaj.
Yeah, no, just 1 second. Pankaj, can you hear us? You are on mute. If you can unmute yourself. Maybe he's having some difficulty. So maybe we'll come back to this. We can go to our next slide, which Pankaj had a couple of slides for covering custom copilots and how the adoption of Gen AI is working. But I think that was our last thing. We can, Nick, maybe you want to take over?
Sure. If we can move to slide 38, please.
Yep, we are there.
Oh, for some reason I'm not seeing that. All right. Some technical difficulties today. So, well, thanks for joining us. We've covered a lot of ground and hope that you found the presentation engaging. So I wanted to share two common ways that we frequently start data modernization conversations with our customers. And we developed a series of briefings. Here are two of them that you see suggested that cover business and technology topics that we tailor for your organization. So the first is, of course, addressing migration to a modern data lakehouse. The second being addressing complex data integration challenges in a multi-cloud, multi-app environment. Can you switch to the next slide? Thanks. So we'd love to talk with you more about some of the data challenges that you're facing in particular. There was some contact information here you see from myself and one of my colleagues. Please do reach out with some specific questions, as well as starting a conversation about tailoring one of the briefings for your organization. With that, let me once again turn back to you, Raj, and we'll get to our discussion portion.
Great, thank you so much.
I just got back my mic. If you guys can hear us.
Yeah,
Hear me?
Pankaj, now we can hear you now. I can go back to
Okay.
the
Yeah.
right here. We can
Okay.
go ahead.
The technology malfunction at the right time. Okay, great. So I was so excited about the Krish going over the Copilot inside the Fabric. Would like to see, like, if some of the data that you have, exciting data that you have in the Fabric, if you can get the insight from the data in the Copilot that are designed for other Microsoft workloads, like the team or the Word, right? So is it possible? Yes, certainly possible. You'll be happy to know that custom Copilot, we can make that happen. So how do you do that? You make use of a tool which Microsoft has released, Copilot Studio. So if I say release, it's not necessarily a new one. It's the Power Virtual Agents and is upgraded with generative AI capabilities as Copilot Studio. Now, this studio allows you to create Microsoft 365 Copilot capabilities, as well as you can build your custom plugin. You can get the data from anywhere you like. Many repositories are supported. And to help you, there are many out-of-the-box connectors are available in Copilot Studio. Unfortunately, however, at this point of time, there is no connector for the Fabric as of yet. So what you can build a custom connector using Fabric REST API capability and SQL endpoint capabilities, okay, which we have discussed in the previous, our speakers have discussed that. So what you can do is you can create a custom plugin, and the custom plugin can generate a SQL query using the prompts. And there, well, to the prompts engineering, right? So SQL that we generate can be executed through SQL endpoint and API. You heard that other speakers talked about how performant it is. So the return can be include a custom data source for generative AI actions. Okay, and one you use that your Copilot to different channels, including like Teams and Slacks and whatnot. So you get the insight from your data in Fabric right in this channel, and using the chat. That's some of the experience that the Krish was sharing with you. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so now we have the copilots, and basically that is a one form of the generative AI. So there is some ground reality. how the organizations are getting benefited out of the generative AI adoptions. Now, we need to keep in mind that to get the desired outcome, you need to define your objectives, your intentions and results. That's basically your look. Okay, and keep in mind that value generative AI project can come from number of sources. Okay, and if you kind of rush to calculate your ROI right at the beginning, it could be a little challenging. Okay, so the values come from like there is direct business value, that incremental value of generative AI over other legacy systems or AI MLs, and the forecasted value of the capabilities as well. Okay. Now, looking at different business, like you can see, the impact of the AI would be more where there are tasks that are repetitive in nature. So, for example, like the operations, if you can even think of, most of the tasks are repetitive in nature. You get the maximum benefit out there. So, customer experience, for example, and so on. Okay. Okay. So with that, like I think we have covered. Sorry for the little malfunctioning of technology from my end. Okay, and I think we come to we conclude that what we wanted to cover in these sessions. Thanks.
Great,
Over to
thank
you,
you.
Ranju.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pankaj, and thank you to all the speakers for this wonderful and exciting seminar and webinar for to help folks to embark on this migration journey. So we do have some questions. I know we're a little bit over, but I'll just give a couple of minutes to answer any questions. So I think one of the question which has come to light is what is the modern version of master slash reference data management for this new architecture in this space? So maybe Pankaj or Nana or Divya, if you want to take this question.
What is the question again,
So
Raj?
yeah, question is what is the modern version of master data management for this new architecture? That is a question.
Okay. See, there are two ways to answer this question. One aspect is master data management. It goes to an MDM, a product equal. Can be integrated with uh, uh, Fabric very well, but whereas master data management as far as the inside our metadata management which Fabrics can do on its own, but whereas if you want to look into that a MDM a master data management product can be a part of Fabric can be given here so that both can work together. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think to some extent, yes. Thank you so much. I hope this was from audience. So, Walt, do we have any other questions? Okay. So I think one of the key other question which has come is what is the difference between Synapse dedicated pool versus warehouse in Fabric?
Yeah, I'll take this out. Synapse dedicated pool is an SQL distributed engine. It works in Synapse Analytics, so it is not based on Polaris analytic engine. But whereas in Fabric, the total whether is a warehouse or Delta Lakes or a serverless pools, everything works on Polaris analytic engine. So that is more scalable. At the same time, there are because of the paradigm kernel shift, there are some commands in the SQL pool, dedicated SQL pool, ordinary SQL data warehouse may not work here, but we needn't worry about that. So overall, it's a much better scalable experience. I can tell you one thing. In Synapse, I have 124. 1204 concurrent is a fix, but we don't have a fix in concurrency here. But like that, we have advantages, but some of the people, accustomed to that, they need a little bit of learning curve here for the Fabric warehouse. The basic difference is, Synapse, dedicated data house works as traditional, SQL structured and distributed database, whereas, warehouse, works with, SQL Polaris, engine, analytic engine.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nana. We have maybe time for one more question. So, what is the differences between data mart, dataset, data flow and data model actually.
Okay.
Next question.
Yeah.
Okay. So the data mart is created for a specific business objectives, So it's a subset of, but focused on very specific functionality or thing. You can think of a department within organizations. So it provides a simplified targeted view of data addressing specific report that the particular department is looking for. So for example, like HR, right? Whereas data set is basically a collection of data related data, and it is generic. It can come from like any sources and in any way. It can be used for like reporting, analysis, visualizations, and all this stuff, but it's more generic data. And in modern terminology, like when you talk, it's not only just the data, but it includes like the relationship between the tables, DAX calculations, and even more. Okay, so modern terminology, Divya and Nana was talking about the data products. Many of the data sets are actually shared as a data product. So that it's not only data, but underlying all the necessary infrastructure that you can run the data on and execute the data and get the insights from the data. So that's all assured as a that's what the data set is. And data model is basically a conceptual representation of the data structure that is required for database and used in, we use for database design. It defines the data connected to each other, how they are processed and stored inside the systems. So it helps represent what data is required and what format is required to use for different business purposes. I hope I could answer it right, Raj?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Pankaj. I have one last question actually, which came from audience. It says somebody just needs to get an affirmation, if you will. So it says, would it be accurate if somebody said real powerhouse of the Fabric analytics is really OneLake, which sits on top of various serverless analytics tools, or where the serverless analytics tool can work? So Nana or Nana, can you take that, please?
Yeah. Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, so basically somebody wants a confirmation the real powerhouse or the power behind Fabric Analytics is really OneLake, which sits on various serverless analytics tools.
Yeah, maybe answer is yes, because basically, the serverless is taking, a lot of, automation inside. At the same time, basing on the serverless, not only serverless, even virtual, data, we can do that. And the Delta Lakes, because of, Delta Lake technology, because of Parquet format with V code compression, so that is much faster and it works with, Polaris engine very well. That format suits, because both these two put together becoming, serverless plus Parquet open format plus, Polaris engine makes it, a perfect and analytical, base with, data lake, architecture in Fabric.
Right. Yep. Thank you, Nana. With that, I think if there are no other questions or anything else anybody wants to cover from presenters, with that we definitely are thankful to all of our presenters and definitely very thankful for the time which audience has spent to learn and engage with us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.